What's up everybody? Dara here again. Yeah, today I want to make a quick video on the tomatoes and show you guys how I have my setup of tomatoes and how quickly they grow. This is on this 6th of November. They are already very tall. So yeah, these videos are gonna look a bit different is because the GoPro that I had kicked the bucket. So I don't have a GoPro anymore. I'm using my phone for the time being. I'm gonna see how this works till I get a new camera to replace that. So we are at the secondary plot. As you guys can see, all the tomatoes are growing. I have them set up on a truss. And yeah, I'm gonna be talking about this setup and that setup. So yeah, the tomato setup. This is just like the one I had in a tomato greenhouse. That I have a wire that's holding up the tomato. I mostly do this because I have the greenhouse. I have the structure to build a permanent rigging system in it. So I just set up the rigging system and then I can just put my tomahawk hooks that are these hooks. These are tomahawk hooks. These hold to a wire. You put a wire on top and then you can hook it and then you let the wire go down just like this. So as you guys can see, I have a rigging up there, a galvanized wire that's going through the system to the whole greenhouse. So I have different points where I'm holding it to the greenhouse. But these wires go down to the tomatoes and then you just wrap it around it as normal. These will help the tomato plants to climb up and then they will get more sunlight. If you have tomato plants in a greenhouse, you don't really need insects to fertilize it. These tomatoes you can self-fertilize. If you have a string, you can just shake it one time a day and it will let the pollen go to the pollen in this flower will self-pollinate and then you will get some fruit. So that's what I'm doing every day. I come here and I just walk through and I keep hitting all those tomato plants so that they fertilize. So yeah, right next to it I got some cucumbers. I did plant some cherry tomatoes, but it's like 50% didn't germinate. So instead of having an empty bed, I seeded some cucumbers. They already came out before the cherry tomatoes, so just shows you how quick cucumbers grow. So I need to go get ready to plant the next tomato, the cherry tomatoes. So this is a setup that I'm going to be mostly using around the farm. These are using a rebar. This is a 16mm rebar that I'm using. I bought it locally here. It's very cheap. It's one of the cheapest way to do this. This method is called basket weaving, where you use a string and then you go from the bar. So in this case, this is my first bar. I will go down the line and then I'll switch to the other side. And then when I get to the next bar, I go to the other side. And then it becomes like a basket type. And then when you go to the other side, you do the other side of the wiring. I'll just show you guys in a few minutes. But one other way that you can do it is these things. These are the T-posts, farming T-posts, that holds up a considerable amount of weight. But these things are very expensive here locally. I can get 3 of these rebars for the price of 1 of these. So that's why I am using rebars. These are better. These will last a long time. Those rebars also will last a long time. But in my case, this is not going to be something I'm going to be doing every year. So for financial sake, I'll just use this one. I'll just use rebar. It's cheaper. Because I did have some few T-posts, I set it up anyway. So I want to show you guys the basket weaving method. So as you guys can see in this rebar, I have different types of string already split. This is just a regular cotton string. Oh, wait. So yeah, this is just a regular cotton string I'm using. This is up to 4 pounds it can handle, so it's more than enough to just hold the tomatoes in place. This is just mostly for the tomatoes not to fall over and for them to start growing upwards. Basket weaving method, you will start on one side of the string and then you will go the outside of the tomato plants and then you will go throughout the whole line till I reach that next bar. And then I will wrap it around it and then I'll go from the other side. And then I'll wrap it around and I'll go from this side. And that's how I do it. When I get to the end, I'll make 2 knots around it and then I'll come from the other side and then come here and then go there and then end up at the other side of this. As you guys can see, I have one string that's going here. This is one string I sent. So this one started, here ended it from the string line. And this is the second row. Every week I am putting another layer of string. So when you start, the first three string that you're going to send, they're going to be very tight because that's going to be holding up the majority of the weight of the tomatoes when they're starting, with tomato plants, sorry, when they're starting. Afterwards, when they get more established, you can make your spacings from the string a bit bigger, so because they're not going to be easily, they can't easily fall over. So that's the reason why at the beginning you want to put a lot of strings as close as possible. Normally it's 3, you want to put it every few centimeters, and then afterwards you can make it a bit longer and bigger spacing. One other method you can use is a chopper rail that you can put some kind of metal wire. You can use the same as rigging. I did it one time with rigging, but you can use this rebar. As you can see, I've just put a coupler up here, and T coupler on top of this rebar, so then you can see in the middle. You can see in the middle, so the rebar would sit on this the middle, but the coupler will hold it that it doesn't fall over. In this case, I'm not going to be using this. I just set it up to show you guys what's a possibility. I would not recommend rebar because, as you guys can see, it's already bending, and when you have the weights of the tomatoes, and it's going to be starting bending more. I think like an L channel metal piece will hold it even better, or a pipe, so that it can handle the weight of the tomatoes. But yeah, I'm not going to be using this. This is just for demonstration purposes. I want you guys show you guys what other options there is. The last time I did use a rigging tool, so I had a rigging that was passing through all the pipes, and I was using just like the the greenhouse there. So just like the greenhouse there, I had a rigging system that I would put my tomahawk hooks on it, and then the tomato plant will grow up. But I want to try this one this year, the basket weaving, because I heard that it's a bit easier to manage compared to that, to the trellising. Well, yeah, other than that, you can see that a lot of plants are getting some flowers, and a few, I'm hoping that these ones will stick. So yeah, I'm hoping these ones will stick, and then I know that the tomato season just started, and then it's only 2 weeks afterwards where I start getting into full productions. But it is shocking how quickly these plants grow. They were very small a few weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. As you guys can remember, this plant was around this big, and now it's already till here. And I'm not going to be removing any of the suckers. I'm just going to let it grow as is. The only thing I'm going to be removing is the bottom leaves. I'm going to keep around a few centimeters, like I think 10 centimeters, without any leaves, so that I don't get any fungus problems, so that I keep good airflow. Even though this is a plot where I get a lot of wind, I'm just going to, it's better to be preventative before something happens. So yeah, it will be really bad if when I'm in full production and then I get fungus like blight come in and then wreck all the plants. That means the production is gone. So I'm going to still managing these. It's 5 rows of tomatoes. These are all plum tomatoes, and these are all slicing tomatoes. The only one that's left to come out is the cherry tomatoes, and I'm hoping that I can get that out in about 2 weeks and then set it up. But yeah, getting busy on the farm, getting ready for all the tomato productions. It's only a few more weeks till we get into full production. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I am going to be using fertilizer on these plants. The fertilizer I'm going to be using mostly is going to be fresh emulsion and different types of worm casting extract, and also some manure extract to be putting in an IBC tote. I don't know if you guys can see it behind there. It's a 1 cubic liter where I'm going to be filling it with water, let the chlorination and all the stuff from the city water to evaporate, and then I'll add all my nutrients, and then I'll use the drip tape to irrigate all the crops. This is not going to be a very heavy fertilizer for these plants. But if I need to, I will increase the fertilization for the plants in the future. I don't think I really need to do that, but we'll see. So yeah, I feel like I'm rambling again. So yeah, peace. Passa um bom dia.